daunting, but I am here to help you understand how to budget for a home, save for a down payment, improve your credit, manage your debt, and minimize tax implications. So we have a lot to cover today. We're going to talk about figuring out how much house you can actually afford, right? Because what you don't want to happen is for you to get something that is called house broke, okay? So let me come closer. So house broke is when you get into a house, you finally purchase the house or whatever. Yay, you've been saving and penny pinching and doing all the things. Then you get into this property and holy guacamole, that's the only thing that you can afford. You can literally only afford to pay for the house. You cannot afford to pay for, actually really good food. So you going back to college days where you're eating ramen noodle, okay? You can't go outside and live your life. You can't catch flights. You can't do jack, okay? So we don't want that to be you, all right? So here's what you got to pay attention to. Your housing cost, right? So you're going to set a budget that includes mortgage payments, property taxes, and insurance, okay? Consider maintenance and repairs when choosing a home, okay? Especially if you're not going to be going for a new construction, right? Which I said, if you are going for a rental property, do not go for a new construction. That is the fastest way to get underwater in debt, okay? Living expenses, you want to calculate your monthly expenses like groceries, utilities, and transportation. Make sure to save money for unexpected expenses because sometimes those pop up. We are all human, right? No one in here is perfect, so things happen, okay? Now, you will also need what is traditionally known as an emergency fund. However, I like to call it a financial foundation because, y'all, why would I call it an emergency fund if I know that words hold power and I don't want to call something to me, okay, that I don't need to be calling to me, all right? So I like to call it the Financial Foundation Fund, okay, your FFF, all right? And in your FFF, you're going to account for at least 3 months of living expenses just in case. Just in case. Not in case of emergencies, just in case. You don't want to call an emergency actually to you, okay? So the reason why you want to do all of this, one is so that you know that you definitely have enough space to actually pay and afford the mortgage and everything, but also because your lender is going to use your gross, not your net, okay? Your lender is going to use your gross, not your net. All right. So let's put that on the board. Okay. Lender equals gross income, not, okay, the rest. All right. Not your net. Okay. So gross income. Now, why is that important? Because that means that if you don't pay attention to how much that house is actually going to cost you monthly, you might accidentally get a house that's too expensive for you because we all know that we don't actually live off of our gross, right? Type a 1 in the chat if you know that you live off of your net income, not your gross income. Type a 1 in the chat if you know that. Type a 2 in the chat if you're like, I don't know what you talk about, what's gross and what's net. Okay? Drop a 1 in the chat if you know the difference between your gross and your net, and you know that you operate and actually live off of your net income, not your gross income. Drop a 2 in the chat if you're like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Gross and net sounds like, something on the basketball court. What's going on? Okay. So drop a 1 in the chat if you know. Drop a 2 in the chat if you're like, huh? Okay, I see some ones coming through. Okay. All right, cool. So then that means that y'all follow me. Awesome. So the lender is going to go off of your gross income, not your net. But we know that you live off of your net income. Okay? So your gross income might be something like, let's say it's $4,000 a month. Right? Let's say Your gross says, I live off of $4,000 a month. But the IRS and all the deductions and all the things that they take up out of that check, you're really operating off of somewhere near $2,800 a month. Do you see how big that gap is? So you don't want to get into a house where it's like, yeah, you got to pay $4,000 a month for that. How are you going to eat? How are you going to eat? How? All right, so drop some expenses in the chat that you should be taking a look at. What are some things that you guys pay for, okay? Today, and I'll tell you guys this story while you guys are dropping it in the chat. Today, I actually eliminated an entire bill for myself, okay? Very proud, very proud. So there's this company that apparently you can get unlimited everything, unlimited phone, unlimited calls, unlimited text, unlimited data, for $180 a year. I swear, $180 a year. Okay, I've been trying it out for the last, I think, week and a half, and the only difference I really see is like for my iPhone, it's a little slow with sending iMessage, but the message gets through, baby. Okay. And surfing on the internet, not that bad. Okay. Not that bad. Not too annoying. Okay. Now that's for my personal phone because I don't really make a lot of personal calls. Most of the time we're sitting on FaceTime or people are texting me. So I was like, I don't need to be paying $60-something a month for this phone. What the heck? Right? I had already paid off both of the phones in the beginning of this year. So I don't actually owe on the phone itself. So I pay $180 a year for my personal phone. And then I said, T-Mobile, you guys are wilding out here in these streets. I want my business phone moved from a personal account to a business account. So I just eliminated an entire bill that would be seen on my credit if I was reporting my phone. But you know, if you don't pay that bill, you're going to have problems, right? So it's going to end up on that credit. But now it'll end up on my business side and it'll be, you know, accruing, you know, credit points on that side as opposed to bothering me on my personal side. So some things that you may want to consider. Hey, what's going on, YouTube fam? What's going on, YouTube fam? I don't know what $491 is. Are you giving me the total amount of the expenses that you pay a month? Is that what that is? I don't see you guys dropping things that you pay for. Phone, internet, gas. What do you guys pay for? What do you guys pay for? What do you guys pay for? Let's drop them. Okay. Jenny said apps, Disney, Netflix, Hulu. All right, Shadi. So we need to have a solid budget conversation. Okay. See, this is why I ask, because these things are important. Okay. These things are important to talk about. Let's go over how to set up your actual budget, okay? And what should be in your budget and what should not be accounted in your budget, what you should be leaving out, especially if you're going to buy a house, okay? So let's imagine that my wipe off board is a big, can you see that? My wipe off board is a big spreadsheet, okay? So you always start with your income all the way on the left. You're going to end up with what is called, hold on. All right, you're going to end up with something that is called the spend column all the way on the other side, okay? So those of my clients already knows what this looks like, but I don't think they actually understand how I build out their plans for them. So they're actually going to see it today, okay? So here we go. All right, y'all drop some. Cool. Thank you. Okay. All right, so income, right? And this is going to be your main income. And then some of you might have secondary income, which would be absolutely phenomenal. All right. Then you want to account for the house. Okay, things that you actually spend on in your house to maintain the house. Okay, So this is like Clorox, this is cleaning products, this is your personal hygienic products, things of that nature, okay? So let me see, did you guys even think of that? Nope. I don't even see it in there. All right, so house, you need a house fund. Doesn't matter if you're in an apartment, doesn't matter if you're renting out a room, doesn't matter if you still live with your parents, doesn't matter if you actually own a property. You need a house column in your budget because you're going to spend money on the actual place to keep it clean, unless you're not a cleanly person. I don't know. To keep the place clean and to keep you clean. That's the house fund. Okay. Then you want to start with your most important bills. Okay. So here, and monthly bills, right? So Flavia said utilities, right? So let's get utilities on the board, because if I cannot see because my lights is off, or I can't heat up my house because I live in New York, it's going to be a problem. Or AC in Florida. Speaking of which, I don't know if that thing is on, but it's hot in here. Okay, it is important, right? Utilities. Then we're going to go phone, because you need to communicate with your people then. Okay? Phone is another column. Okay? And then, I needed some more space on this side. I got to erase that a little bit because I'm missing something in this left. And then internet. Internet is super important. Okay? Whatever your internet is. If you have, I don't see anybody. Nobody said a car. Interesting. Car. Now your car might have several columns. I'm not going to put it here because I'm going to run out of space. Your car should have several columns, okay? Hold on one second. All right, y'all. So car. Your car is going to have a couple of columns, but I'm going to condense it into one right now because I'm running out of space. So you're going to say car note. So C note, if you have a car note, you're going to put CINS for insurance. Okay. And then you're also going to have a column for your gas, because for some reason we think that, we're just going to wing it with gas. Don't wing it. You should know exactly how much every week you are spending on gas. Approximate, right? Sometimes we go over, sometimes we go under, but you should know approximately how much it costs you. Okay? Now, these, okay, this, and if you have a kid, I'm not going to put it here, but if you have a kid, your kid needs their own column too. Put your babies on a budget, okay? You do not have infinite amounts of money unless some of y'all is billionaires and didn't tell me, okay? Your baby needs a budget. And even if you are a billionaire, the baby needs a budget, okay? The budget may look a little different because you're a billionaire, but baby needs a budget, okay? So these are all what is considered your necessary monthly expenses, okay? Necessary monthly expenses. Necessary. Like if you don't have this, you can't get to work. You can't talk to nobody you can't talk to nobody. You can't get on the internet if you work from home. Your lights is off. Your house is dirty. Like these are all necessary expenses. Okay? Now, then in this little space here, okay, I'm going to split it up and I'm going to tell you what you should have in each column. I'm going to stack it up like I did the car because we're running out of space. But then you should account for your savings. So your savings is going to look different too. So you're going to do your savings like this, okay? You should have long-term savings, and I want you to name the savings, okay? Because if you give a name to it, then you're like, okay, I'm so motivated towards this thing, okay? Because I know exactly what I'm saving for. Your savings should have a deadline. Somebody type deadline in the chat. Your savings should have a deadline, okay? You should not be saving until infinity. Nobody saved their way to wealth. That is a myth that they tell poor people, okay? I'm so serious. Like, I'm not even joking. That is a construct that they created, okay? So that you think you have to keep saving your money, and you end up hoarding your money, and you die with your money in the bank where your money actually does go to die, okay? So your savings needs a deadline. So let's say long-term savings. Now, your long-term savings is anything that is going to take you anything past a year to actually do, okay? So your long-term savings is anything that's going to take you more than 12 months to fulfill, okay? So for some of you, that means your house fund, okay? So house fund is going to get its own column, all right? What did I say about your e-fund, okay? We're going to call it your financial foundation, your financial foundation fund, your FFF, okay? It's okay, Jenny. Okay, I can't put that up there though because it's split up, but I got you. Thank you. So your financial foundation fund, how I do it with my clients is it really depends on your amount of anxiety about your finances. Okay. So if you're on the lower end of anxiety and, money doesn't freak you out, you're not scared of things going wrong, I would say at the very least in your FFF, you should have $5,000 in total. So not like every single year you're saving to $5,000 total. And all of these accounts needs to have literal separate accounts, okay? None of them should be chilling out with the other one so you dip into it by accident, okay? They should all have their own accounts, all right? So $5,000 if you're on the lower end of anxiety, financial anxiety, $10,000 if you're on the higher end of anxiety, okay? So this should be 5 to 10K. Your house fund should be 10 to 20K, okay? And your house fund actually includes multiple parts of savings, and we'll get to that in a second. So I'm not going to go over the house fund just yet because we're going to go over saving for the down payment afterwards, and I'll tell you what the heck that 10 to 20K actually is, all right? Oh, Jenny said, I am trying to keep up with you, Queen. Listen, we got a lot to cover. I want to make sure that I get it all. And this is also why you want to get the replay. You want to upgrade, okay? Because if we have a day like this where it is jammed packed, you want to make sure that you don't miss things. Okay. And if you did miss something, it's okay because you can always go back and listen to it. Okay. So I put the link on the bottom if you want to upgrade now to make sure that you get all this information, because this is only one part. We still got like mad other parts to go over today. Okay. So I want to make sure I get as much as I can in this small time with you guys. Okay. So if you need to upgrade so that you can go back and rewatch and slow me down. Okay, because you'll also be able to slow me down or speed me up when you go to watch the replay. Okay, so we'll talk about the house fund in a second, but should be 10 to 20K, right? Your financial foundation fund should be 5 to 10K, depending on how anxious you are about money. Now, the other funds are going to be if you are a person where you know that you take at least one vacation a year. You are a vacationer. You need a vacation fund. Account for that money, okay? And typically that's between 2 to 5K, okay? Now, this vacation fund actually does replenish, which is why you need your savings accounts to all have their own accounts, right? Their own separate places where they are and where they live and breathe, okay? Your financial foundation fund needs to be in a credit union, okay? Somebody type credit union for me in the chat, okay? Well, for everyone else in the chat, all right? Your financial foundation fund should be in a credit union account. Why? One, because you want to build up that relationship with your local credit union, okay? Because they always have the best rates, okay? Their rates are always so much cheaper than the commercial big banks, okay? So if you go to a credit union to go get your car, if you go to a dealer or if you go to your main bank, they're probably going to give you something in like the 2% interest rate range, like let's say 12%, 15%. It's gonna be something crazy, right? But if you go to your credit union to buy it, it's going to be more in like the 8% range, 9%, 6%, somewhere down there. It's really amazing. Okay, so you want to build up, thank you, Taquita. You want to build up that relationship with you and that credit union for that purpose. And also, if your credit union does mortgages, you 1000% want to build up a relationship with them, because then they would give you the cheapest interest rate, okay, on that property. So, and for the third reason why you want a credit union is because it eliminates temptation. Somebody drop temptation in the chat, okay? It eliminates temptation. Because if you put it, let's say you put your saving, your financial foundation, let's say you have Chase, right? Let's say you have Chase, right? And Chase, you have a checking account and you have a savings account, okay? If you get low on that checking account, on that spending column that you're going to give yourself, you are going to be tempted to go dip into that savings account. How helpful is a savings account that you keep depleting every time you have no self-control? Not helpful at all, right? Who does that help? Nobody, right? Not you, not your family, not anybody. Okay? Thank you guys for dropping temptation in the chat. So, that actually helped me to gauge how far the gap is too. That lag is really crazy. Okay. So you want to make sure that you eliminate all temptation, and that it is so difficult that like you basically got to walk into the bank to get anything out of this financial foundation. Now, it shouldn't be so hard that if you actually do need to go into it, you don't have access to the money at all. But you shouldn't be able to just transfer your checking and your saving. You know how Kevin Hart made that whole joke and everybody's like, listen, okay, the way my checking and my savings is set up, you don't want your checking and your savings set up that way, okay? We want them nice and separate, no temptation, okay? House fund, financial foundation fund, vacation fund, and the very last fund is going to be whatever other short-term goal that you're trying to get after, okay? And that just depends on how much the thing actually costs, okay? And sometimes you'll have this short-term goal, sometimes you won't. Sometimes you're like, man, I'm done. I don't want to save for nothing else. And I got it, right? So the short-term goal is whatever it is that you want to actually purchase, like a car. Your car is a short-term goal, okay? Or a new car, you know what I mean? Like short-term goals, right? Because you can actually use that car to trade in and use the value of that to make up for the down payment, okay? All right, now in this other column that is nestled between your savings and your spending column is where your investments will live, okay? This is your invest column, okay? And your invest column may have multiple columns as well, because it may be life insurance, it may be retirement, okay? It may be a financial expert that you need on your team to make sure that you're good, okay? Might be any expert or professional services, okay? It might be your business. Your business needs a column too until it is able to run on its own. It will be running off of your income, right? So it needs to be accounted for, your business. Okay, until it can run all by its lonesome. And then at the very end is what you get to spend on discretionary. Oh yeah, investment is also like I don't know if we have some Christians in here. I know you guys tithe. That is a whole separate conversation, but I do know that you guys do that. So tithing may be in here as well, okay? All right, but this spending column now is what is known as your discretionary income. This is what you actually have to spend on whatever it is that your heart desires. Okay? Now, for some of you, you may have TV somewhere in here between your necessary expenses and like your savings. Okay, so this is the savings column, this is the invest column, and that's the spend column, right? So you might have something in between here that says TV or entertainment. If you are the person who usually pays for the dates, or you and your spouse or significant other usually split, you know, who pays for this date versus that date, all of those extra things, and your kid, they go in between here. Okay, so I'm not going to write those out, but the rest of the stuff that you need to account for goes between your necessary expenses and your savings, okay? And then at the very end, after you have taken out everything from this income, this is what you actually get to spend, okay? And I want to make this just a teensy bit smaller because we're going to break this all the way down. This is what your budget needs to look like. Main income. Okay, and then, all right, week 1, week 2, week 3, and week 4. Starting to look like a spreadsheet now, right? I'm going to back up so you guys can see this. Let me see if I can scoop my computer a little closer. There we go. All right. So instead of trying to create, oh, and really the total should be down here too. My bad, y'all. Hold on. Total. Your total should be down there. Okay. So let's say you have 4,000. It's 4,000 a month, which means that you make 1K every week, right? And if you're bi-weekly, you would do 2 and 2, okay? But let's say you're nice and neat and you got 1, 1, 1, 1. And in your secondary income, you make another 500. Okay, so on your spreadsheet, this is all going to be like this. And then anything that comes after that is going to be minus 50, minus 100, minus, please don't have your phone bills out here being crazy and giving all these phone companies your money. Below $100, okay? Let's say minus 80. All right, internet as well. Don't be out here giving them all your change. Right now, I think I pay like $60 for my internet. All right, 60, right? Car, no car insurance and gas, those are all going to have their own columns, like I said. But for now, let's say it's like 400, right? Minus 400. We already busted the budget for here. So let's move it down, okay? So this is how you're going to look at, and also you're going to look at your due dates. You're going to look at your due dates and place these wherever your due dates actually are. But if you can fit everything in this first week and pay off all of your monthly necessary expenses, then you have less to worry about the rest of the month. Okay? So you can actually give yourself what I call breathing space. Okay? Breathing space. I don't know who's checking in on Facebook. Well, what's up? What's up? What's up? Thank you for talking to us and communicating in the chat. Thank you. All right. So let's say that your car insurance and gas is $400. You're going to minus $400 here, right? These freaking Florida nets, yo. All right. Savings. Okay. You're also going to subtract because everything is coming from this income, right? So let's say you save on all those things. Let's give each of them, like, for now, $50. So let's say it's like $200, okay? Minus $200. Now your investments, you're like, I want to ball out of control. I'm going to minus $500, which means that your actual secondary income actually took care of that investment. And then your discretionary income at the end is whatever you minus from here, okay? So you guys want to calculate that? I'm not calculating that right now because we got a lot to cover, okay? But 4K, 2K, okay? This is minus 50, and then eventually at the end, it'll give you your grand total, okay? This is how you should arrange your finances. This is how you need to set it up for when you're going to buy a house so that you know exactly where each and every penny is going. And I'm going to tell you why it's so important to know where exactly every penny is going, because these lenders are going to be all up in your business. Let me tell y'all something. I was paying for every day my coworker. This was obviously when I was actually working in an office, right? My coworker would go and get lunch, right? So he'd be like, yo, cash at me, what it do? And I'd be like, yeah, here's your cash app. Here's your little $5 a day. Okay, give me some lunch. I'm starving. When I went to go buy my condo, you know, they asked me about that $5 a day. I swear to you. I swear to you, they asked me about the $5 a day. They're like, is this debt? Is this a bill? What is this? Why are you sending out this money? And I had to do what was called a letter of explanation and tell the underwriter, yeah, it's just because I am not, able to actually cook anything because I live in New York and you guys want me to die and breathe in the office. So I can't actually I don't have any time or energy to cook when I get home. So my coworker is nice enough to go get me some lunch. Is that okay? And the underwriter's like, yeah, that's okay. But they're going to be all up in your business. Okay? And you can't get mad at them because they're lending you money. They're in the business of selling money. So they need to know that you can afford what they're selling you, because legally, like we went over yesterday, they have to make sure you can afford this mortgage, okay? So you're going to set up your entire budget like this, and you're going to set it up on your net, okay? Now, whatever you spend, oh, shoot, y'all really let me leave out rent? Somebody said rent in the chat too, and I totally forgot about the rent. Jenny said rent. Okay, so your rent needs to be in here too. My bad, y'all. Rent column, okay? What? Definitely a rent column. Rent, or if you're going for your second house, this would be a mortgage, right? So rent, anything for your house, utilities, phone, internet, and anything for your car are monthly necessary expenses. All right, your savings is going to look like a house fund, which is your long-term savings, financial foundation fund, vacation fund, and any other short-term goal that you may have, okay? So to really understand how much house you can afford, one, you are going to look at this spreadsheet full out and say, where can I cut costs, okay? For me, that meant I had to give up my car. Not completely give up my car, y'all. But what I did was I had to go into a car that was less comfortable for me because I needed to decrease the amount I was spending. I think I was spending like almost $1,000 a month on a car. I was balling out of control, y'all. I was like, yeah, I make 70K. What's up? Like, I was like, whatever. You know what I mean? But when a lender sees that, they get red flags. Because if you default on that loan, are you going to default on this bigger loan? And let me tell y'all a good tip. Lenders like to see that you have a car note. Whether the loan has been closed and you've paid it off, or it's open, current, and it's not delinquent, they like to see car notes on your report, because car notes are actually mini mortgages. Okay? Type mini mortgage in the chat. All right? Mini mortgages. Type mini mortgage in the chat. Your car note is literally structured exactly how a mortgage is structured, to the T. All right. And if we have time, we'll go over that. But if not, I think we're going over that tomorrow. So I'll show you guys the difference between, someone remind me tomorrow to show you guys the parallel between a car note and a mortgage. And you're going to be like, holy crap, you just blew my freaking mind. Okay, mini mortgage. Now, it doesn't need to be a crazy car note. Don't be out here balling out of control. It can be something as little as an $8,000, $83 a month car note. As long as they see it on there, they're like, okay, you can handle it. All right, good job. Mini mortgage in the chat. Thank you, guys. So you're going to look and see where can you cut costs. For me, that meant I had to trade in my car. Get something that was lower amount, and I actually spent less on gas too. So my whole car column went down. I think it cut like 60%. 60% of it, I just gone. I didn't have to worry about it. All right. You look anywhere else at, the rest of these expenses that you have, those other columns. All right. You may want to look at that. That's where your streaming services will be and all of that. What can you cut for a little while? And you need to know how long you're going to have to cut it, because remember, the point isn't to live like this forever. The point is to get into the house comfortably, and then reset your lifestyle the way you want it to look. Okay. So you're going to be thinking about the future, not right now. Yes, it's going to hurt. Okay. It's going to feel very restrictive. But when you get in that house and you can actually afford it and have fun and take vacations, you're going to be like, thank you so much, Queen. Okay, little self-control goes a long way. Okay, all right. So you're gonna cut whatever you can cut, and because you're looking at your net and not your gross, you won't go over how much you actually have to spend on this house. So your rent is going to dictate how much you actually are able to afford the house. This is the trick. Okay. If you can afford your rent comfortably and you have enough spendings, let's say you had like that's not even logical. Let's say you had like 300 left in your spending column, right? Like 100 left over here, and you had a little 50 here, and then maybe like a 25, right? So this spending column, I would say for a single person, I would say $250 a month you should be spending on yourself on like random things that don't matter, right? If you have a family, I say somewhere between $300 and $500, depending on how young the kids are. Okay? Now, anything outside of that amount, which obviously is way past how much you have in this spending column, that plus your rent is how much house you can afford. Y'all get me? Type got it in the chat if you got me. Your rent plus whatever you don't use in your spending column is how much house you can afford. Okay? Flavia said, them kids expensive. Exactly. Girl. All right? That is the reason I don't have any babies right now. I'm like, shoot, I don't know if I could drop that bill. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Valavia said, got it. Jenny said, that's reasonable. Okay. Perfect. Okay. All right. So this is what your budget needs to look like. So we got through one topic for the day. All right, cool. I'm going to get out the way. You guys take whatever snapshot you need to take because I'm about to erase it and we're about to get into the next topic so we can hit everything we need to hit today. But this was super important because a lot of people get tripped up because they're like, oh, yeah, I can afford a $4,000 a month house because that's what the lender said. No, what does your budget say? What does the money you actually take home say that you can afford? Minus all your expenses and the things that you really want to focus on, like your savings and your investments. Minus all of that, can I actually afford whatever house I'm going after, whatever property I'm going after? Now, of course, there are ways that, you can supplement some things. And, we went over that when we talked about the multifamilies and rental income and things like that, which do come into play when you are getting a mortgage, okay? If you use what's called a rent roll. We'll talk about that tomorrow too. Okay? All right, cool. Y'all should have got y'all snapshot. I'm erasing. All right. Whew. We getting a workout today, y'all. We are getting a workout today. So we did a budget. All right, great. Now we're going to talk about saving for this down payment. Okay, now we're going to talk about saving for this down payment, and then we'll go into credit, and then we'll end it out with taxes. Okay, so saving for a down payment, like I said, you want to cut costs wherever you can. Okay, you are going to be on a restricted financial diet. Okay, that's what I call it. Okay, a restricted financial diet. Eventually, you will be able to eat the things and do the things you want, but right now, nah, okay? Reduce your expenses to increase your monthly savings, cut your cable, eat out less, and consider cheaper transportation methods, okay? For me, I had to keep my safety. I was not going to nobody's train station. I was like, absolutely not. I'm going to drive, okay? So I was like, I need the car, but I don't need this expensive car, okay? Increase your income. Find ways to boost your earnings, like taking a side job, selling unneeded belongings, or renting out a room. So as a renter, you're going to need to make sure that your landlord won't boot you out if you actually start renting out, the spaces in your apartment. But try creating that rental income that we talked about. You know what I mean? We talked about 4 different ways that you could. 2 of those ways you can't. But doing a location rental, all the other things that we talked about, house hacking, you can do that in a rental. Just you need approval from the actual landlord to do it. Okay. And then taking a side job. If you need to go and do Uber, okay. When I was paying down my $50,000 worth of debt, I was doing Uber, I was doing overtime, I was doing Postmates, I was doing DoorDash, anything that I could do to reduce my debt so that I could get that condo. I was for it, minus illegal activities and, selling my body parts. Okay. So like stripping and things. I was like, I ain't doing that. That's crazy. Right. But you need to sometimes just giving yourself a boost is really good. Now, you want to make sure that this income is documented. Okay. It needs to be documented. A lender needs to be able to source it because they need to make sure you're not money laundering. Okay. So it needs to be somewhere where the lender can see the paper trail. All right. For one of my clients, he came to me, he's a teacher. And I was like, for where you want to go and buy this house, you gonna need some more money. Okay, so we sat down and I asked him what he liked to do, what he wanted to do, what he was comfortable with doing, additionally to teaching, because I know that teaching drains you guys, right? So we talked about doing after school. We talked about taking up, extra shifts for other teachers. We talked about tutoring companies, right? So there's ways to increase your income in the actual fields that you are in as well. It doesn't need to be, I got to go to Uber. You know what I mean? Like, there are ways within your industry that you can increase as well. Okay, so think about those. Now, what we're going to go over today specifically is these down payment assistance programs. Okay, so I'm going to show you the is it 6 or 5? The different levels to actually purchasing, to actually using, and if you're following along with me in your homebuyer handbook, go past the credit section because we're gonna do that last. And you should go to where it says, it is 5 levels. Okay, no. 6 is like the bonus. So you're going to go to where it says funnel of free money. And that's what we're going to talk about right now. So you want to look into down payment assistance programs like grants or loans from the government, organizations, or nonprofit organizations. Okay. So I'm going to show you exactly what this funnel looks like. All right. Woo. All right. I'm back. What's up? Okay, so now we're going to talk about what I call the funnel of free money. And that's trademarked, y'all, so don't steal my stuff, okay? The funnel of free money. So your page should look something like an upside down pyramid, okay? It should look like an upside down pyramid. And if you have the homebuyer handbook, this is drawn out all neatly for you already, okay? And then we're going to make some lines in our nice little inverted pyramid. And no, I'm not trying to get y'all into a pyramid scheme, okay? No pyramid schemes over here. F1. Oh, you know what? I'm going to actually write in this, so I want to take that out. Okay. And then there's like a bonus, I want to say bonus. It's not in the in your workbook. I think it might be on the next page where the code is. Oh no, it's not. Okay, I need to update this. Y'all need that. So I'm going to give you guys the bonus today. Bonus, okay? All right, so at the tippy top of your inverted pyramid, your funnel of free money, there are 5 levels of free money that your first-time home buyer status can gain you access to, okay? And the best part about it is you can locate a grant or two at each level. Most of these grants and programs are stackable. Somebody type stackable in the chat, okay? Most of these programs and grants are stackable, okay? Meaning you can have a federal grant of $10,000 and still receive a state grant of $60,000. So somebody type stackable in the chat. On the tippy top, okay? On the tippy top, that first level is federal. Oh, wait, let me tell y'all where grants and these programs come from, okay? So that y'all not like, I went to this, city and this country and the county, and they told me that they ain't got none. Okay, so they're not everywhere. Okay? Typically, they are in low income and distressed neighborhoods because grants and programs are generated 2 different ways. They're generated by law, right? So someone comes in and says, hey, we need to give away this money to teachers, right? We need to give away this money to whoever, whatever. So sometimes it is a law that will help you guys get free money. The most, actually, no, there's 3 ways. Sorry, law, right? The second way is a lawsuit. A lawsuit, okay? So a lawsuit is because a bank was being discriminatory, or a lender was being discriminatory towards a certain group of people. And now that entire neighborhood that was affected by that discrimination is up for, can they, the banks or the lenders can decide whether to pay a hefty fine or put the money back into the neighborhood. So that's how these banks actually get their down payment and closing cost assistance, because most of them don't opt for the settlement, because that thing be somewhere in the crazy millions and all the things. And then with deciding to settle and just put it into a grant or program, then they can do it in like levels. So this year it's 60,000 that they can give away. Next year it's 50,000, so that it doesn't break their bank. Okay. And once the money is out for that year, that's it for that year. And then it replenishes, or the program's finally done and all the money is finally paid up, because that's how much the lawsuit amount was in total. Okay. So law, lawsuit. And the last way is just organizations being nice, right? So love. Right? Love from the actual community, nonprofit organizations, for-profit organizations, people like me and you who make, we can make our own crowd fund as well and fund someone's house. You know what I mean? So law, lawsuit, love. Okay? That's where the free money comes from. Okay? Love of the community, lawsuit from discrimination, and just overall law that comes down from the federal or the state government, because they're like, look, we need to help our people put some more money into the market. Here's how we can help them out, because houses are too expensive. Throw that at them. Okay? All right. So this top level is federal. Somebody say federal in the chat. Federal in the chat. Drop federal in the chat. Yes, the government is giving out money, y'all. What did I say? Law, right? Okay. So grants and programs provided by the federal government are what everyone has access to. Okay. So federal equals everyone. Okay. Everyone in America. Okay. Everyone in America. Thank you, Jenny. Everyone in America, okay, has access to, thank you, Flavia, has access to these grants and programs. So let's say that you get a federal program of $10,000. So we're going to stack our free money, okay? Let's say we get $10,000 here. All right? Then we want to buy in, I like New Jersey because I actually know the counties and stuff. So let's do New Jersey, all right? So then after you're done getting your $10,000 from the federal government, you're like, cool, thanks, Uncle Sam. That was great. Now you're going to go to the state. Okay? So the state, we're going to say today, is New Jersey. All right? So New Jersey is going to run us some coins too. All right? The actual state of New Jersey is going to run us some coins. Drop state in the chat. Drop state in the chat. So grants and programs provided by New Jersey that buyers purchasing in that state have access to. Okay? If you are buying in New Jersey or wherever, guys, okay, who are listening to the replay, but New Jersey is our example for today. Wherever you're buying in that state, you're going to get, let's say the state is a little cheap and they're like, look, we only got about $5,000 for you, right? Okay, we only got $5,000 for you. Thank you, guys. I see y'all states. Period, poo. All right, so let's say New Jersey is like, I'm going to give you $5,000, boo. Hold that, okay? Then you are going to go to your county that you are buying this house in, this property in, okay? You're going to go to the county, all right? Let's say you're going to go to Essex County. All right, you're going to go to the county and you're going to be like, hey, yo, Essex, I heard you had a $60,000 grant for me, yo. Where my grant at, Essex County? What's up? And the county's going to be like, yeah, sure. Here you go. All right. Of course, there are qualifications. Okay. Everyone just doesn't run away with free money. Okay. But you see what qualifications they have. Somebody drop county in the chat. Drop county in the chat, right? So you're gonna run to the county and be like, bruh, where the money at? Where the money at? Okay? All right. And what's funny is that I think it's an E. I don't think it's it might be like S6 county. Okay. Thank you. I see your counties in the chat. Okay. So you're going to go to the county. You're going to be like, bruh, I need some money. And they're going to give it to you. Okay. Then so this is a little break off. So you may or may not get access to these last two, depending on where you are actually buying. Okay. So it's typically either or of this last part of this funnel here. Okay. So this is either or, not both. Okay. So now you get to the city level. All right. If you are in a city, I think Newark. No, let's say Jersey City, because it actually has a city in there. Jersey City. Okay, if you were buying in Jersey City, right, they got another grant for you. All right. Let's say Jersey City was like, yo, pull up on me. I got $2 grand for you. Okay, come over here. I got money for you. Now, I am not saying that there is money in Jersey City or Essex County. I'm just saying random ones right now. If you purchase the Home Buyer Handbook, the reason why you want to purchase it is because you get access. I do a whole list of over 100 grants and programs in this book for each state so that you can actually find this yourself. Now, I can't put the actual, I can't put the actual URLs and stuff. One, because they change them all the time. So I would have to like keep changing them. But also the money might run out and things like that. So I just give you the name, I give you the amount and where you should be looking for it at. Okay. All right. So if you're not in a city and let's say you're in a town, let's say you're going to buy in Woodbridge. That's where I bought. I bought in Woodbridge Township. Okay. I didn't buy in a city. I bought in a town. Okay. That's why it's either or, not both. So the town is going to be like, yo, pull up on me. I got 15 G's for you. Because towns are smaller and they're like, hey, come over here. Don't go to the city. Okay, let me entice you a little bit. Okay. So somebody dropped town. Oh, wait, y'all didn't even drop city in there. Somebody dropped city and somebody dropped town. Somebody dropped city in the chat and somebody dropped town. Okay. So city or town, okay? So I'm going to put the or, in, you know what? I'm going to put it in red. I am going to put it in red. So y'all not like, you told me it was all 5. No, it's like, 4 probably at most, okay? Or. Okay. All right. Oh, there y'all go. Thank you, Jenny, for saying town. Thank you, Flavia, for saying city. Perfect. Okay, so city or town. You're going to get some money from there. Now, this little magical piece down here is where the love comes from. This is where you're going to get money for love. Okay? So you're going to look at nonprofit organizations that have first-time home buyer programs. You're going to look at some for-profits that may have some money for you. Okay? You also may look at credits. So your lender can actually give you a credit, lender credit. So let's say credits at the bottom. Your lender can give you a credit. Your real estate agents can give you a credit. And the seller can give you a credit. Okay. Now they do have limits of how much they can give you, but they can give you money on this deal too to make sure that you actually close. Okay. If you have a gap and you need some help, Your lender, your real estate agent, or your seller can help you. Now, don't be greedy and just say, well, Queen told me that I could get this money from you, so I'm going to ask for it. Don't be like that, okay? Only if you can't make it to the closing table and you're like this close, ask one of them to accommodate, okay? But you can also get some community love by looking at a nonprofit organization or a for-profit organization or anything else, okay? So let's say that they got like, 2 G's for you too, okay? Somebody want to add that up? 10,000, where my phone at? 10,000 on the top from federal. 5,000 from New Jersey, from the state. Oops, 15. 60,000 from the county. And I'm going to go with the township because if they going to give me 15K, I want to run that up. And that's also why you want to research and look into all of your options so that you can actually say, okay, the city isn't giving me a lot, but that township is giving me a lot. And they have good foot traffic for whatever property, rental income property that I want to get into. I'm going to go with the township, okay? And then let's say you get a little 2,000 on the bottom. How much free money did you get on this deal? How much free money did you get on this deal? And you know what's crazy is that I had a client 2 years ago that I was helping to get into a house. She actually had too much money in grants and programs. See, in a real estate transaction, you have to have some kind of monetary transaction, okay? So if you have too much assistance, they have to decrease your assistance and you have to pay, like, let's say $2,000 at the least to actually have the transaction be legally binding for the sale. How crazy is that? How crazy is that? Did you guys run the numbers? What number did you come out with? What number did you come out with? I got the number. I just want to see if y'all did the math. Flavia said I need that to be me. Period. Period, right? All right, I'm going to give it to you guys. So with this funnel, we just racked up. Hold on, I got to put this in red. 92. Oh, dang it. Come on. $92,000. All legal, free money that you can stack. How'd you get 94? I got 92. 94? Did you add an extra 2,000? You added this 2,000, not this one. It's either or. You can't add both. Because either you do the city or you do the town. So I didn't add the city because I was like, the town's going to give me more money. So 92. There you go. Ah, Jenny said queen. Flavia said that's cray. Yeah, you didn't know that's what you was going to talk about today, right? Yeah, buddy. Yeah. Jenny said, got it. I'm greedy. $92,000. Now, if you were in a city, okay, so then, it would be less than that. But if you were in a city, right, and you got $90,000, right? Whoa, or 80-something thousand dollars, right? Without that 15K, right? So let's minus 15 and add 2,000 back. That would be 79,000. You know what you can do with 79,000? Going to buy a daggone going to buy a multi-unit or a mixed building, a mixed-use building. The down payment and the closing cost is always the problem when you're going to buy those big buildings. But who said you got to use your own money to do it? Exactly, Flavia. That's better than none. Okay? So let's say it's like 92,000, or if you went the city way, which only gave us the 2,000, is $79,000. 79K of free money that you do not have to pay back. This is free. Well, I mean free. When I say free, I mean free. Okay? Like, it's not a hoax. There's no catch. Okay, there might be a catch. You might have to like stay in the house for a certain amount of time. That might be a catch, but that's about the only catch. They might have a stipulation where like you have to stay in it for 5 years, you have to stay in it for 10 years. For NACA, you have to stay in it for the life of the loan. So as long as you hold their mortgage, you have to stay in that house. But if not, and NACA is love. NACA is community love. And with a NACA program, you can stack free money. But if you choose, NACA has a special program where like you don't have to pay down payment and closing costs. But if you choose to take the free money, which would decrease the price of the building, then you have to pay down payment and closing costs. Now, how they calculate that, I have no idea. But that's the either or with NACA. But that's community love. Okay? That's a nonprofit organization. All right? So boom. I just gave you $92,000 or $79,000. Boom. Take a picture. I'm about to erase it. So now you know that you can stack grants and programs on each of these levels. Federal, state, county, city, or town. And then you can actually get some community love, or you can get some love from your lender, real estate agent, or the seller. Okay? But don't be greedy on this end because they are trying to make money in this transaction too. Okay? Oh, Flavia said thanks. Yes. And what's great, Flavia, is that you have the New York one and you're going to have the New Jersey one. So you're going to have access to all of these. I did the research for you. Like, you could do additional research, of course, because when you get down to like the town level, it gets crazy. Like, I didn't do all of those because it's like 900 and something towns in New York. I was like, bro, y'all gonna have to Google that. I can't. But I did most of the work for you, okay, for each of the states, all right? And Jenny, for you too, for Maryland, I'll be doing that research as well for the Homebuyer Handbook, okay? So, boom, free money. We did the down payment assistance. So now let's talk about your credit score and mortgage rates. So the first thing you want to do is check your credit report. I have an actual partnership with Smart Credit. I love Smart Credit because it's actually helped quite a few of my clients to improve their credit 100 points within 3 months, okay? Some of them within 2 months, they've seen great improvement, okay? So you want to check your credit report, and I can drop that link, send that link out to you guys. If you're watching the replay, it should be underneath here because I dropped the resources on the bottom, okay? So check your credit report. You can get a free copy of your credit report from each of the bureaus. So you want to go directly to the bureaus. So TransUnion, let's get that on the board. Let's get the bureaus on the board. Now, here's the T. The bureaus are not government entities. They are privately owned businesses, just like banks. Remember I said what? Banks are businesses. Well, bureaus are businesses, okay? They make money off of each of these companies reporting to their system, to their bureaus, okay? So there's TransUnion. These are the main ones, but these are not the only ones, okay? There are a whole bunch of other credit bureaus. These are just the most popular and most used, okay? TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. And I'm putting an asterisk because these are not the only bureaus, but they're the most widely and popularly used. So if you're following along in your home buyer handbook, you're going to go backwards now because we're talking about cleaning up your credit. Okay, so go backwards in your home buyer handbook and take a look at the page where it says, go to where it says clean up your credit. Okay, go to where it says clean up your credit. All right, so you're going to check your credit report and check for errors or potential areas of improvement. The second thing that you're going to do is if there are errors in your credit report, dispute them with the credit agency. Now, yesterday we talked about how you can actually dispute and what you can actually dispute inaccurate or incomplete information. Don't be on here lying about not owing people. Pay them people their money, okay? Because you wouldn't want somebody to do that to you or your business or your family's business, okay? Pay them people their money. All right. Number 3, you're going to pay off your debt. A high debt to income ratio can hurt your credit score. Pay off debt and avoid opening new credit accounts. Do not touch your credit, okay, until you receive keys, okay? No swiping of the credit card, no nada. I don't care if they're like, yeah, you're closing tomorrow. Do not go in a furniture store or go and buy a car, okay? And I'm saying this because people are crazy and they do that. They're like, oh, I closed on the house already. Until you get the keys, you are not closed. And that lender can actually pull your credit 30 minutes before you close, and now you're screwed because they can cancel the deal. All right? Do not touch your credit. All right? The only thing that you are allowed to do with your credit in the middle of the home buying process is paying it off. That's the only thing you can do. Paying it off. That's it. All right. Then you are going to shop around for rates. You want to research different mortgage rates from banks, credit unions, and online lenders to get the best offer. Now, this is big. If you go to one lender and you get a pre-approval or a pre-qualification, that does not mean that you have to go with that lender. You can go and look at other lenders. And really, you should look at up to 3 lenders. And how I would do it is I would even do probably 3 in each category. Like I'm gonna look at 3 banks, 3 of the major banks. I'm gonna go look at 3 credit unions. I'm gonna go look at 3 lenders and see what their rates look like. Yes, this is okay as long as you do it within the same time frame. So don't oh yeah, I'm going to go and look at this lender today. And then 3 weeks later, you're going to look at another lender. No, do it all in the same week, okay? Because when it hits your credit, it's only going to count as one search. But if you spread it out, it's going to trash your credit. It's going to drag your score down. Don't do that. Don't do that. Okay? All right. Scrolling. Managing and reducing debt. All right. So you want to organize. My bad, y'all. You want to organize your debts. Okay. Create a list of your debts. And hey, Megan, what's up, boo? What's up? Organize your debts. You want to create a list of your debts and interest rates focused on paying off high interest debts first. Typically, but sometimes you're going to have to really strategically pay down your debt, okay? And this is why you really want to get with a credit or financial specialist so that they can create your debt payoff plan for you, okay? Because sometimes you think that you're paying off something that you need to be paying off. You don't need to be paying that off. Or sometimes you're paying off something too fast and it actually drags your score down. And you guys don't really know about all the intricacies of credit. And so I don't want you to end up doing something. You're like, oh yeah, well, Queen said pay everything off. There's a way that you pay it off too. It's a lot, okay? So organizing your debts, cut down expenses. We already talked about reducing your expenses to allocate more money for debt payment. Consider getting a roommate or foregoing all your luxuries, okay? And then, of course, number 3, like I said, seek professional help, okay? Consider getting help from a credit counselor or financial advisor to manage your debt and create a repayment plan, okay? Because they are the experts. Yes, you can do this on your own. Not disputing the fact that you can't. But you do not know all of the intricacies. And honestly, for someone to sit down and explain and tell you all that, that's a whole 2 to 3 courses. Do you have that amount of time? Probably not. Just let them do it for you. Okay? Probably not. Just pay the people. Okay? Pay the people. You want to pay me? I got a service like that. Pay me. Okay? All right. So let's talk a little bit about your credit score. Okay? Because we think that credit is just this, like when lenders are looking at our credit, they're just looking at your credit score. No, they're looking at what exactly is reporting on there as well. Okay, so it's not just about that. All right. So I'm going to give you the 3 C's of credit worthiness. This is what creditors are really looking at when they look at your credit report and basically, decide whether or not they're going to take the risk to sell you the money, right? Because banks are what? Businesses, right? Okay. So number 1, they're going to look at your capacity. Somebody type capacity in the chat. They're going to look at your capacity. Now, what does that mean? That is your ability to repay them. So they're going to look at your employment information, and they're going to look at what you spend your money on. Okay? They're going to look at your employment. How long have you been with this employer? Are you somebody who hops from job to job? Because that means you might hop from bank to bank. And I don't know if I want to deal with you and your flakiness. This is how banks think. Okay? This is how lenders look at your report, and it gives them your essential personality, right? Who is this person? Spender profile. Okay? Expenses. They're going to take a look at, do you have a lot of store cards open? Do you have major cards open? How much balances are sitting on these cards? Okay, thank you, Jenny. Capacity, right? Number 2, they're going to look at your character. Okay, they're going to assess your character. Now, what does that mean? That is your willingness to pay the loan. How do they assess your willingness? They're going to look at your credit history. Do you pay your bills? Do you pay your bills late? Do you have repos on your account? Do you have a bankruptcy because you don't know how to manage your finances, or you neglect your finances? Does that mean that you're going to neglect my loan if I give it to you? Does that mean you're going to run off on the plug if I give that to you? Do you have broken leases on your credit report? Do you have evictions on your leases? All of these are your financial report card. How good do you manage your money? Thank you for dropping character in the chat, Jenny. Period. All right? And they're also going to look at your stability, okay? Like I said, are you breaking leases? Are you getting evicted? How long have you been at that house? Okay, your last address, have you been there for 2 years? Or every 6 months you hopping? Does that mean that you're going to hop out on my loan? I need to know. Okay? Now, the third way that they're going to assess you is collateral. Collateral. Okay? Collateral. Now, this means, okay, your other sources besides income that you can use to repay that loan. Type collateral in the chat. Collateral. Are you actually able to back this loan from something else? Like, if you can't pay, what can I take from you so that I get my payment. Now, typically in a real estate deal, the collateral is the actual building. Okay? So in the actual agreements that you sign, somewhere in those legal documents, it says, if this person does not pay, I get to come and take this house. What day did we learn about that? Right? We had a whole day where we talked about tax liens and deeds. That's how it happens. Okay? The house or the real estate property is the collateral. Okay? So, but they also take a look at, when they're looking at your financial profile, they want to see if you have other types of assets. They want to see if you have any investments, okay? Because if you have these other things, then they don't have to take the building. They can just say, hey, go liquidate that real quick. I need my money, bruh. All right? And if you have, of course, any savings, they're going to take a look at your savings. And that's why you want your savings to be real healthy, okay? Real healthy. All right. So those are the 3 C's of credit. This is what lenders really look at to assess whether they want to sell you the money or not. Your capacity, which is your ability to repay, your character, which is your willingness to repay, and then collateral. Do you have anything else to give me in case you can't pay me? Okay, or do you have anything else to add to the deal to sweeten the pot for me to actually sell you something? All right, which is why you need savings, because ain't nobody giving you no house without savings. Bugging. Okay, all right. Credit score. Credit score. Now this time we're gonna do some circles. All right, so don't judge me on my circles, but let's go. All right, big circle. This, okay, let me write in over here. 5, these are the 5 factors of credit, okay? 5 factors of credit. So this is actually how your credit is scored, okay? Where do they get this from? Your payment history. Your payment history is 35% of your score. Okay? 35% of your score comes from, do you pay on time? Do you pay your bills? Okay? The next part of your score is the amounts owed. Amounts owed. Okay? And that's going to be 30% of your score. So how much do you actually owe other people? Because if you over here asking me for a $600,000 loan, but you owe somebody $30,000 over there and the monthly payment is choke holding you, why would I give you some more money? I mean, really think through. When we go to these banks, how we be thinking that we're entitled to their money. Okay? You're not entitled to diddly squat. Okay? You have to make sense. All right? How much do you owe somebody else? 30% of your score. The next part in how they score you is the credit history length, which is really what they call your age. Okay? Age. Wait, no. Credit history. No. Sorry. The age is the last part. Hold on. Credit history. No, I'm right. Credit history length is your age. Age. Credit history length. 15%. How often do you open new accounts, right? So how they dictate or how they create your score for the age, right, is they take your youngest account, the newest account that you opened, and they take your oldest account and they average it out, okay? So you want your age to be, somewhere in the 2-digit mark for real. Like, if you below 10 years with your credit history, bruh, what is happening? Okay, you need something very old sitting on your account. For most people, that's your student loans, which is why when you do, and for you guys with kids, this is major key. When your kid opens a student loan, if they have to, open up a credit card at the same time. Make sure that that credit card stays active and doesn't go delinquent. Because when you pay off that student loan, your score drops so hard because you just removed the oldest account on your report. Okay, you just closed it. It's gone now. Okay, it ain't vibing no more. All right. So you need another very old account so that when you open new accounts, it doesn't drag your score down as hard. Okay, that's a nice credit tip for y'all, especially y'all with some munchkins. Okay. All right, the next one is credit mix. So this is how diverse is your actual portfolio. Okay. So remember, I said 10%. I said remind me to tell you guys about the mini loans. So tomorrow we'll talk about that. But really what they're looking for in your credit mix is, do you have revolving loans? Do you have credit cards on your account? Jenny said, beautiful to know. Yes, for your munchkins, okay? What kind of debt do you have on, what kind of credit do you have? Like what kind of accounts? So do you have charge accounts? Because if you got charge accounts, they looking at you like you a shopaholic. You got too many charge accounts, okay? Credit cards, what's up with your credit cards? Are you with major credit cards or are you with subprime lenders? So subprime lenders are the ones that aren't like, like a Capital One or whatever. Like if you open a self account, that is a subprime account, okay? You don't want that. To be honest, you don't want that. All right. That says that you don't know how to build your credit and you don't know how to manage your money. That's what that signals to the lender. Okay. So credit mix, make sure you got a good mix on there. And then the last little circle, okay, is going to be new credit. New credit. And that's like 10%. And it's like how soon have you opened up credit? This is also where your inquiries are and how your inquiries impact you. Okay. You want less than 6 inquiries on your credit at any point in time. Okay. 6 or less if you're going to any kind of lender. They don't want to see multiple inquiries on your account because why didn't they approve you for those inquiries? Okay. Now, like I said, if you go and do the same kind of loan inquiry or account inquiry, like if you're going for a mortgage and you're shopping around and you do like 9 inquiries, they count it as 1 if it's within the same time frame because they're like, okay, you were shopping around. Now, if you don't actually end up getting the account, they start looking at you sideways. Even if the inquiries only count as 1 inquiry, they're like, well, how come you did all of these inquiries and none of these banks wanted to give you anything? I ain't messing with you. Something wrong with your stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to remember that people are at the other end of credit, okay? There are people that make this decision, all right? So they look at your credit report and they're like, are you good at managing your money and your credit? Do you have self-control? Or do you not? And if not, I don't want to be bothered with you because my livelihood is on the line if you screw up and default on this loan. Okay? All right, so that's credit, y'all. That's credit. Whew. All right, we almost done. So start dropping any questions you have in the chat because we're going to do like a lightning round of questions because we really coming up on no time. Okay. All right. That's credit. I'm going to get out the way so you can take your picture. Oh, man. It's so many spots on here. You can't really see. Sorry. All right. Type got it in the chat if you got it. Type got it in the chat if you got it. All right. I'm about to erase. We're going to talk about taxes really quick. And then that's it for today, y'all. That's why I said I ain't have a lot of time to diddly-daddly today. Okay, I had to get through some things for you. All right, I'm erasing. Drop your questions, drop your questions, drop your questions. Ah, man, Lord. I need to clean the eraser. I think the eraser is just dirty because we be in here running up. Drop your questions, drop your questions. I don't think I have too much for the taxes. Oh, but I do want to tell you guys, I think, let me see. What day did we talk about? What day did we talk about documents? Because I think that's today too. Let me see. It's hot. Drop your questions. Drop your questions. Closing course. Okay. All right. We talk about the documents tomorrow. Whew. Now, if you have the Homebuyer Handbook, what's really helpful is the closing cost table, because it tells you exactly who's supposed to pay what for the closing costs. And that's super important, okay? Because you don't want to be like, well, I'm not supposed to pay that, but you are. Right? So with your taxes, especially if you're a solo entrepreneur, but even if you are a W-2 employee, the 2 years before you go for your house, do not have 1 million deductions and credits, okay? Because it takes away from your available income to actually give you the maximum amount that you can buy, okay? It takes away from your purchase price. So yes, getting a refund may be super cool, although you should not be getting a refund because basically you're just giving the IRS a tax-free loan, which you should not be doing. You shouldn't actually have a refund, okay? A refund means you overpaid the IRS during the year, okay? And what's crazy is before I actually started my union job and I went to an actual like real tax strategist instead of a preparer, I had no idea because my mom was always the type to be like, oh, tax season is here. We're going to have a great time. Remember, my mom had the poor mindset, right? So she's like, yeah, tax season is a great time. This is second Christmas. That's what a lot of us in the community say, right? Skin folk, right? We say, oh, this is second Christmas. It's not second Christmas. You need that money during the year, okay? Stop loaning the IRS your money, all right? Now, for some of us, we get refunds literally just off of existing and doing the great things that we do. Right? I just recently did a tax return and the client got over $700 back for just being, a mom, being a teacher, right? Okay. So, those are the kinds of credits that you want, not necessarily something that will take away from your actual income. Okay. So, if you have a business and you're a solo entrepreneur, or even if you have a business and you're a W-2 employee, okay, do not subtract from your income for 2 years because you need to give the lender 2 years of tax returns, okay? So when they look at it, they're going to be like, yeah, you make $100,000, but really a year gross, but really you're making $80,000 because of all of the deductions that you've placed on your taxes. So really you're not making $100,000. You see the problem? Type got it in the chat if you understand the problem. If you do too many deductions. Now 1 or 2 is fine, but not something that is going to actually reduce your income. Like, saying that you're deducting anything over like $2,000. I'm going to be honest with you. And $2,000 is a lot. Okay. You should not be reducing your income like that when you're going for a big purchase like a mortgage. Okay. Now, if you have a business, I know that refunds are like super important for you because you get them from credits, right? So get them from the credit section, not the deduction section, okay? All right. And if you're a business and you've had your business for 2 to 3 years, after 2 years, the IRS considers your company a glorified hobby if you do not break even or claim profit in that third reporting year, okay? They don't consider it to actually be a business because why are you still losing out here in these streets, okay? Unless you were in the middle of the pandemic, that's a special time. But anytime else, they're not giving you any passes, okay? Why are you still putting losses on this thing? Now, of course, in business, you are going to have ebbs and flows, right? You are going to win some years and you are going to tank some years, okay? It is the belly of the beast, okay? It is what it is. But you should not consistently be losing. At that point, they're going to start flagging your account for tax evasion because now you just look weird. Why do you keep reporting this loss like this? Okay? Why is your business never winning? Okay? At that point, they might be like, bruh, you either need some really serious business help or you're trying to avoid paying us taxes. Either way, we finna audit you and we need to see all your receipts and all the proof of this loss. If you have no proof, this is how the Lil Waynes and the MC Hammers get locked up in jail for tax evasion. Okay? I don't want you guys going to jail. And I don't want you guys giving the IRS a tax-free loan either. Okay? So for the 2 years before you go for this, and if you have to, and even if you already did it and you're like, oh my gosh, so I did so bad on my taxes the last 2 years and I want to go after this house this year or next year, that's fine. You have up to 3 years to go back and fix whatever you did. Go back and fix it. It is worth it to go back and fix it, okay? Because like I said, you may say you have $100,000 in income, and after that lender looks at your tax returns, they determine, no, really, you have $80,000, and now, you don't make enough to actually qualify for that 2-family, that 3-family, that 4-family that we were talking about creating an entire $1 million property off of. You have just put yourself out of the running. Okay, from a simple accounting mistake. Okay. And I know that some of us get into these issues because we went with a family, accountant or a tax preparer or one of our friends. I had one of my clients come to me and was like, and she's a solopreneur and she came to me during the pandemic. Her business actually grew through the pandemic. Amazing story, okay? But she came to me when she had just become a solopreneur at the beginning of 2020. Business boomed, and she had this accountant that she'd had for years, okay? She came to me and she was like, okay, Queen, I'm ready to qualify and all the things. We went over her documents, and I was like, hold up. Your taxes say you make no money, babe. No one is lending you money. And she's like, no, but look at my bank accounts. I make this amount. Yeah, but your taxes say you make this amount. So it's both. They're looking at both when they qualify your income. Okay. So she went back, she fixed her taxes, and now she actually qualifies for a 2-family in the Bronx, New York, family of 5, solopreneur. I'm so freaking proud of her. Okay. So proud of her. We've been working on her stuff for 3 years, y'all. 3 years. And we got her all the way together. And now her and her family are going to scoot off with a rental property. And you best believe we house hacking the bejesus out of that thing and turning it into $1 million property. And her kids are going to have an amazing legacy to walk into. Okay.